Welcome to part 2 of How and Why I Engage, Enhancing Your Success, a learning series brought to you by the Alameda County Training and Education Center. My name is Ruth Kim, Senior Trainer and Consultant, and I'll be your facilitator for this e-learning. So in this session, we'll look at how I engage, and we'll do this by focusing on 3 main areas where you can effectively enact and embody I engage: relationships, growth, and impact. These are the 3 hallmarks of experiencing fulfillment and enhancing your performance and success at work. In other words, you can maximize your human energy, spirit, and potential through the quality of your relationships, overcoming challenges in your process of growth, and through the significance and meaning of making an impact and difference in your work. So these sessions are meant to be interactive and engage you in your learning. To successfully participate, you'll need these items: the I Engage workbook, and if you print this, you can do all of the exercises in this training. And each activity is numbered, so I'll be referring to each of the section numbers so you can easily follow along. You'll also need something to write with. And if you're not able to or prefer not to print the workbook, you can still use a notepad or journal so that you can still follow along and participate in the activities. After covering the why of how and why I engage, which was the focus of part 1, it's time to turn to the how. And the 3 areas of how to enact I engage are relationships, growth, and impact. So let's start with the first area of how I engage, and that's relationships. Relationships are about your sense of belonging, connection, and relatability to others. The quality of your relationships are greatly enhanced through your soft skills, like communication and active listening, and especially exercising emotional intelligence. The Alameda County Training and Education Center offers classes on emotional intelligence and different areas of effective communication, including in our leadership series. Within the topic of relationships, we'll focus on 3 main tools: Maslow's hierarchy of need, managing up, and assertiveness. So one tool of I Engage that lies at the core of having effective professional relationships at work, whether we're working with clients, colleagues, managers, or a supervisor, is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maybe you've heard of this model, especially if you've taken a psychology class before. The overall idea is that we need to be self-aware of our needs, especially when we're experiencing an off day at work. When we're having an off day, it's usually because there's some need of ours that's not being met. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a 5-level model of human needs. Needs lower down in the hierarchy generally must be satisfied in order to attend to needs at a higher level. Starting at the lowest level, our basic, most fundamental needs are physiological. And so our biological requirements for survival include food, water, shelter, and sleep. We all know what hunger feels like. That's kind of how the bottom level works. But it can be even more severe, being deprived of a basic human need, and at the lowest level, like experiencing homelessness. So Maslow considered physiological needs the most important because all other needs become secondary until these needs are met. Safety needs, this is about having order, predictability, and control in your life. Emotional security, financial security, physical safety, and freedom from fear. Chances are, with COVID-19, many of us have had our safety needs shaken. But with good information, we're able to protect ourselves and others during this pandemic. Love and belonging needs, this is the social level that involves the interpersonal, the professional, and the community in our relationships: friendship, intimacy, trust, love, and social connection. Esteem needs, this level is about one's sense of dignity, achievement, competence, and mastery, and receiving the respect and deserved recognition from others. And then finally, self-actualization needs is when we're able to achieve this highest level, we experience it ourselves at our best. So we experience fulfillment, potential, and growth. And we fulfill self-actualization needs in various ways, like demonstrating our best work performance and striving to do even better, like pursuing education and developmental opportunities, including hobbies, and working on being an even better parent or partner or community member, and so forth. So Maslow described this level as the desire to accomplish everything we can to become the most we can. It fulfills our need for personal growth and discovery. But it's not meant to be a perfect state of happily ever after. Rather, it's a continual process of becoming more and more a better version of you. And it's important to note that you can apply this model also in working with others. Consider it a model of internal and external customer service. When we interact with others who may be having an off day, knowing some needs not being met helps us interact a bit more compassionately. It's a lot easier to forgive and deal with problematic or just unprofessional behaviors at work when you frame it in terms of the fact that it's some very human need that's not being met or fulfilled, like in the case of an angry client, or a cranky, stressed out supervisor, or that negative Nancy or Nick, who's your peer that's always complaining at work. So let's do a quick application activity. What you see on the slide is a list of characteristics of self-actualized people. These are listed at the top of page 6 in your workbook, section 2.1. These characteristics are that you can tolerate uncertainty, especially in times of change where it feels like you're in uncharted waters. You accept yourself for who you are and others for who they are. You have a sense of humor where it's appropriate and appreciated at work. You're highly creative. And you're concerned for human welfare. For example, you hold concern for the homeless and others who are vulnerable in the community. And you can deeply appreciate basic life experiences like your health or enjoying time with loved ones. You have deeply satisfying interpersonal relationships. You have a democratic attitude in that you believe in social equality and inclusiveness. You have some strong morals and ethical standards. Maybe live strongly according to your values and principles. And you embrace challenge as opportunity and are able to see positives and learning in the process. You're self-aware and can manage your emotions accordingly. And finally, you practice self-care regularly. In so many ways, all of us manifest self-actualization. It just looks different depending on the areas of life that are most important to us. How many of these do you already fulfill? Check the ones in your workbook that describe you, and feel free to pause the video to complete your responses. So what's an area you didn't check that you want to be intentional about developing? You have the chance to jot down notes in the section to the right of these characteristics. What would help you develop this characteristic? And again, you can pause this video if you'd like more time to write in your response. Another area of taking care of our relationships is the practice called managing up. Managing up basically means having a great work relationship with your supervisor in the best interest of your work, your team, and your supervisor. So in your career and professional success, your relationship with your supervisor is probably the most important relationship at work. because of the organizational interdependency between the two of you. Managing up is really about leadership and influence upwards to support and help your supervisor help you be successful. In order to effectively manage up, it's important to know yourself and your supervisor in terms of your strengths and needs. It's about being proactive in this relationship with good communication, accountability, planning, and anticipation. So, why is it important? Well, your boss doesn't know everything, and they can learn much from your experience and perspective of the realities, challenges, and successes closer to the front lines working directly with clients. And when you become supervisor, you'll appreciate it and continue to practice managing up. At the bottom of page 6, section 2.2, you'll see a managing up self-assessment. There are 10 items. Check yes or no to indicate if each of the statements apply to you. Go ahead and pause the video to allow yourself time to complete the assessment. If you had more than 5 yeses on this assessment, you are likely already managing up. So what does managing up exactly look like? Well, it could be asking your supervisor for feedback on a draft of your work to make sure you're on the right track and ensure high quality results. Or it could be as simple as asking your supervisor a few questions to gain clarity on a project and their expectations of your work. Managing up overall is taking responsibility for your relationship with your supervisor. It's a proactive approach to building trust and helping your managers support and advocate for you and your team. And it only makes sense to manage up based on the benefits for everyone. It's truly a win-win-win-win-win organizational practice. And what managing up looks like truly depends on who your boss is, their preferences and management style, and their personality. No matter what this looks like or who you're dealing with as a supervisor, there's always a way to build a better, more successful partnership. Think about it. You probably have one direct boss, whereas your boss has more than just you as a direct report on the team. And it requires the ability to be patient, to learn, and to understand the pressures and priorities of your supervisor, that they have with their supervisor and higher up in the chain of command. So the key is not at all about changing your boss. It begins from your acceptance of who they are and the work we put into reflecting and exploring ways we can work more effectively with them. We can be much happier, more satisfied, and fulfilled in our work lives. And it's one of the best, most rewarding challenges and investment of effort we can do in our work lives. One last note about managing up. Managing up is a transferable skill. You can take the practice of managing up and apply it to managing sideways and all around, especially with your coworkers and teammates, for better relationships overall. And again, what this looks like depends on who they are and how well you get to know them. So managing up, down, and across is a key area of iEngage. And the Alameda County Training and Education Center does offer a class on managing up called Building a Successful Partnership with Your Supervisor, if you'd like more opportunity to reflect on and strategize to improve this relationship. So managing up, down, and across requires us to know how to be assertive, yet many of us have a hard time knowing if we're being assertive or too passive or maybe aggressive. So what does it mean exactly to be assertive? Well, most of us associate being assertive with taking action and initiative, taking care of your own needs and concerns, and maybe being vocal about them, and also being direct and being confident. So let's say if you were drinking a cold beverage you just bought from the corner store and I see you drinking this delicious cold beverage. So I come up to you, tell you that I'm thirsty, and grab the drink out of your hands and start drinking it myself. Is that assertive? I took action and initiative and took care of my own needs and concerns. I was vocal about it, being direct and confident. This is definitely not assertive behavior. It's aggressive behavior and also rude, inconsiderate behavior. So we need to modify our definition as this. Assertiveness is taking care of our own needs and concerns while respecting the needs and concerns of others. Both sides of this definition need to be fulfilled in order for it to qualify as assertive behavior. So what does the same exact example look like if I were to be assertive? Well, maybe I'd say, your drink looks really great. Where can I buy one myself? For myself. I'm basically taking care of my need while respecting your need, and therefore this would qualify as being assertive. So at the top of page 7, section 2.3, think of one specific way you will be assertive in the next week. It could be with a coworker, or if you'd like to apply it in your personal life, like with your spouse or partner or with a friend. And as a bonus activity, come up with one more specific way you'll be assertive while managing up to your supervisor. Maybe that's requesting time off or asking for feedback. Feel free to pause the video to give you enough time to come up with a couple of examples. So we are now moving into the second area of how I engage, and that's the area of growth. Essentially, we're talking more about a mindset of growth. A mindset is your disposition and outlook on life. Carol Dweck, who's a researcher at Stanford, coined the term growth mindset and distinguishes between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. We'll learn about these in just a moment, but before we do, take a look at section 2.4 on page 7. You'll see a mindset assessment. So there are 8 items, and you want to circle the number that best reflects the degree to which you agree with each statement. And note that the scale of responses is different on the left side and the right side. And when you finish circling your responses to all 8, add up your scores on each side to get a final score. And you'll find the score interpretation at the top of the next page, on page 8. So go ahead and pause this video to take this assessment. So your score is a general measure of the degree to which you manifest a growth or a fixed mindset. In reality, all of us manifest both a growth and fixed mindset in relation to many different activities, depending on the nature of the tasks. The overall idea is to continually work on and build further a growth mindset to support and further your lifelong learning. So what exactly is the growth mindset? Well, mainly it's the belief that skills can be developed through hard work, good strategies, and input from others. Those with a growth mindset focus more on learning and growing than on looking smart because it's about getting better. And it's not an attitude of keeping an open mind or positive outlook or the belief that good things will come your way. Growth mindset, this has become a widely recognized and adopted concept by professionals and leaders everywhere. Even NBA superstar LeBron James has said, quote, "It's always about a growth mindset. It's the fact that you know you can do better, even at our age, even with our accolades, even with what we've done in our careers. We still feel like we can improve." End quote. A fixed mindset is very common. It's the belief that skills and intelligence are predetermined. with the irrational concern with being right and looking good in front of others. Those with a fixed mindset see learning as effortless. You either have it or you don't. And they try to avoid mistakes at all costs, viewing challenges as roadblocks and barriers. So success gets pigeonholed as well as who can achieve a success. Whereas a growth mindset, mistakes are learning opportunities, and learning requires time and effort. But with effort, we can continue to grow skills and talent. And this is all consistent with brain science, which shows us that, our brains constantly grow and evolve. And so, with a growth mindset, challenges help me grow. It takes practice, effort, hard work to get better at anything. And you learn from feedback and don't take criticism personally, but rather as input to further develop, grow, and improve. And you find lessons and inspiration when others succeed. You aren't threatened by their success. So, all of this points to our adaptability, flexibility, openness, especially when it's hard and challenging to adjust to a major change at work, learning new skill sets, or receiving a complex assignment. You definitely will have learned and found an even better version of yourself on the other side of the challenge and learning. So, how do you develop a growth mindset? Well, the first step is to just start. When you have a fixed mindset, you probably won't even be open to learn something new. Why try if you weren't born with the ability? And if you do start, you likely won't stick with it if it seems challenging because the task at hand is simply not a skill that you have. The first growth mindset activity you need to do is to take this critical first step, starting. And this isn't just making moves towards things that you are passionate about or really want to know how to do. Part of this is getting out there and trying new things so you can uncover your passions and truly find out what's right for you. Two, reflect. Think about all of the skills that you have built throughout your life and how you've advanced them. No matter what your mindset is, surely you can think of something that you were not good at doing when you started, but eventually got the hang of it. For example, think of your first day at your current job. Did you show up having the routine and workflow that you have today? You probably had to practice your job by showing up each day and facing various problems that you had to work to solve. Think about what this process was like, whether with your current job or something more basic like driving a car or learning how to cook. Reflecting and recognizing the skills that you have improved throughout your life will help you be more open to the idea that you can learn and improve. Three, do a bit of research on a specific skill, hobby, or craft you're interested in learning, or to explore general areas to help you identify an activity. You're also looking for models of success, and with a growth mindset, that should inspire you rather than inhibit you. Four, seek out learning opportunities. Specifically, seek out a learning opportunity that you think you're not cut out for. For example, what about dancing? For all you two left feeders out there, do you believe that you simply lack the coordination or the creativity to be a good dancer? Maybe you just don't have rhythm. If this is the case, try taking a dance class. Get out of your comfort zone. If you want to learn how to dance, stick with the class, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and learn to approach dancing with a can do attitude. By the time the classes are over, not only will you have learned some basic principles of dancing, you'll have successfully executed dance moves that you've never done before. You may not yet be a professional dancer, but you will be one step closer to being a good dancer, a great dancer. The more you practice, the more natural it'll come. 5 is cultivate grit. So your grit is your perfect perseverance towards meeting your goals. It's the amount of effort you're willing to put forth to accomplish something and your willingness to keep going no matter how difficult things get. In order to have a growth mindset, you have to cultivate grit. And it has to be something you're interested in learning. You also have to believe it's possible to make progress, really improve, and succeed, as long as you're putting in the necessary work. And then finally, keep a journal for 21 days. It takes 21 days to build a habit, and this will track your progress over time and help you stay reflective and committed in your learning. So keep in mind, the key to cultivating a growth mindset is to really start small. You want to stay patient and make sure you celebrate and feel great about your progress. In the words of Carol Dweck, the path to a growth mindset is a journey, not a proclamation. So on page 8, section 2.5, there's an opportunity to reflect and capture a particular skill or strength you possess that required you to exercise a growth mindset. Jot your response to the prompt. What is an everyday strength or passion of yours? This could be something you do at work or outside of work. Something where you had a growth mindset to develop the level of skill and talent you possess. And then in section 2.6, here's a chance to convert any fixed mindset thinking about yourself into more of a growth mindset. So what is one example of negative thinking you've told yourself at work before? Maybe it's, learning this new technology is so hard, I'll never get this. And then find new proactive language you can tell yourself the next time this might happen. Like, once I do a few tutorials and practice with this new technology, I'll be able to do so much more for my projects and be so much more efficient. So the key is allowing yourself the process and patience to learn and get better. It can and will come to you with a growth mindset. Our final area of how I engage is impact. You can build up and enhance your engagement and success through the significance and meaning of making an impact and difference in your work and taking action to make this happen. We'll cover a couple more tools in this training that reflect how we can concretely make an impact and flex our I Engage practice and influence. The first tool is called the 5-second rule. Anyone hear the 5-second rule before? It's not the one where, you drop food and you can still eat it if it hasn't, landed for longer than 5 seconds. It comes from the work of Mel Robbins, and it's a simple yet powerful tool, especially when we consider how hard it can be to even get started if we're not working from a growth mindset. Basically, 5 seconds is the average amount of time between having an idea and taking action. We're capable of having many, many great and wonderful ideas. Yet often we're not able to actually follow through on those amazing ideas. Something usually kicks in to stop us, whether it's procrastination or self-doubt. So everything boils down to our choices, which the brain can sabotage when fear or threat come into play. So the 5-second rule is simply 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a countdown. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which doesn't get us focused. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 ends with a blast off. For whatever activity that requires focus and courage, the 5-second countdown is like a hack that outsmarts your brain in the furtherance of a higher purpose or goal. See what 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 does, it awakens your prefrontal cortex, which is like the CEO part of your brain where you exercise your highest executive functioning, mainly focus. and prevents you from slipping into a fight, flight, or freeze mode. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 can help you be present and ready and eliminates the space for your negative critic to kick in. So, next time when you experience procrastination or notice your inner self sabotage critic kicking in, practice 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 as your tool and then just do what you need to do. I use the 5-second rule often before I deliver an classroom in-person training, especially when I might be having an off day. Or use 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 before you deliver that big presentation at work. Or just getting started on a task that you tend to put off because it might be a bit less interesting for you. In section 2.7 on page 8, jot down the next time you will use the 5-second rule. What is one activity that you do at work where the 5-second rule will be useful for you? The final tool of how I engage, reflecting impact, is called SMART objectives and goals. Notice I didn't say SMART goals and objectives. We're actually applying the notion of SMART to objectives, not goals. A SMART goal is a powerful tool to put in motion an action or a commitment that you can execute and follow through within a reasonable specified time frame. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. If we apply SMART to objectives rather than or in addition to the goal, we will identify concrete actionable steps and priorities that need to be fulfilled in order to successfully attain our goal. A goal is simply a desired end state. A goal may simply be that you'd like to promote to a higher classification. Let's say to the specific position of a supervisor within the next year. That's considered a SMART goal because it fulfills all elements of SMART. Whereas an objective is an action or step towards achieving your goal. Likely, you'll need multiple objectives or steps. If your goal is to promote to a supervisor position, a SMART objective might be to check the county postings every week for the next 6 months to make sure that you're aware of any openings. It's a specific action. You're checking the Human Resource Services website. It's measurable. There's one site you're checking and you're doing this on a weekly basis. It's achievable as long as you take the time every week, and it's relevant to your aspirations to promote. It's also time-bound. You're continuing to do this weekly for the next 6 months. Another SMART objective might be to conduct 3 informational interviews in the next 3 months with different managers in your department to learn about the essential skills for success in their roles and how they were successful through the exam process to gain their positions. Another SMART objective could be meeting minimum qualifications as a best qualified candidate so that you can plan to do 3 interviews for supervisor positions in the next year. Or take 1 supervisor training in the next 6 months. Your objectives should work together to have the effect of achieving your overall goal. Objectives address the how, the what, and the when of achieving your goal. In other words, SMART objectives are the building blocks of achieving your goal. So it's time for the last activity of this training, which can be found on page 9, section 2.8. What is one goal you want to implement in the current calendar year? It could be a goal related to your career development, or it could be something in your specific role, like building a new program for your clients or improving customer service on your team. Write your goal and come up with at least 1 SMART objective. And there's an opportunity to check and make sure your objective fulfills all elements of SMART. Really, the idea is to come up with as many SMART objectives as you can, which if you do all of them, it's very likely you will have successfully achieved your goal. It's like you're creating a SMART to-do list towards realizing your goal. So feel free to pause the video to give yourself time to complete this SMART Objectives worksheet. This training was all about maximizing and enhancing your engagement at work, the how and why of I Engage. We did this through applications and activities, especially around the how of how and why I engage, focusing on relationships, a growth mindset, and making an impact. We covered Maslow's hierarchy of needs, managing up, sideways, and all around. We defined and applied assertiveness. Then we looked at growth mindset and reflected on how we already exercise the growth mindset and how we can further develop a growth mindset for ourselves even more. Finally, we took a look at the 5-second rule and SMART objectives. So hopefully you gained a lot of learning and tools to enhance your engagement and fulfillment at work. Keeping in mind that this visual reflects the entirety that we bring into our work lives. So we want to be sure we maximize our well-being and needs as much as we can for our effectiveness, self-advocacy, and success. This concludes part 2 of How and Why I Engage, Enhancing Your Success. Congratulations on finishing the series. Thank you so much for participating and learning with me.